What a weekend for the NBA playoffs. If you were in LA and not at Coachella, raise your hand. If you were in LA and at Coachella, raise your hand. See the difference there? It's like 419, yeah, 420. Yeah. That's the point. Other way around, 419, 420. All right, so there was I love how they schedule the playoffs. I love how it's every team for the first round plays almost every Saturday and Sunday. At least for game ones and game fours, roughly is how they get to it, sometimes game threes. There was a lot of great action though. I'm gonna begin with the Thunder and the Rockets because I want to begin with Russell Westbrook's press conference, which was, and I'm gonna say it's vintage Westbrook because it's so perfectly is related to how Westbrook plays basketball. Now, the reporter who asked the question and Russell Westbrook have had some problems back and forth in the past, where he's probably poked too much at the Kevin Durant thing in the past, and Westbrook has a very good memory. I have to give him credit for that because I think he knows what reporters he generally enjoys and which reporters he generally does not. His question, as you're gonna see, was very fair. I thought Westbrook's response, you lost the game, it was frustration, it took over. I think both of these guys were technically in the right in a way. So here's that video first.
Steven, second time in 3 games, you guys really struggled when Russell went to the bench. You were out there for part of that. What goes on when he goes to the bench? Why is Houston so successful? And do you sense that they sort of get an energy boost just from him going out of the game?
Hold on, Steven. I don't want nobody to try to split us up. We all one team. Regardless if I go to the bench, if Steven's on the floor, if I'm off the floor, we in this together. Don't split us up. Don't try to split us up. Don't try to make us go against each other. Try to make it against Russell and the rest of the guys. Russell against Houston. I don't want to hear that. We in this together. We playing as a team, and that's all that matters. That's it.
Yeah, Russell, I'm not trying to split you up, but twice in 3 games, you guys have not played well at all when you've gone to the bench.
That's fine.
I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
Russell, you ain't played well at all. Say Russell and the team haven't played well. Don't say when Russell goes out, the team don't play well. It don't matter. We in this together.
Here's the numbers, and I'll just leave it at that. I think the most important statistic in the NBA playoffs, leave aside points, rebounds, assists, leave aside blocks, steals, turnovers, all of that. Shooting percentage, if you're a scorer, this is most important to me if you're a scorer, and then plus minus. Yeah. I want to know how much better the team is around you when you're on the court and how much worse the team is when you're off the court. And here's your staggering number, Francis. The Thunder with Westbrook on the court are +3 for the series. They are -40 with him off the court. So when you ask the question, what is with your teammates that can't seem to formulate any sense of offense with you off the court, and that's even a meaner way than he put it, I can understand why it's a frustrating response. Don't try to split us up. They're not trying to split you up, but what you just did is exactly what you do with the Thunder in the first place. I want Westbrook shooting the ball. I get that, but taking the mic from Steven Adams is pretty much exactly what you do in the game anyway. Yeah,
it's this series is an interesting one. I mean, regardless, it's entertaining as hell to watch it.
Yeah, so it's amazing.
That's a big takeaway I've got from it. But so even in the first 4 minutes I watched this game, you could just tell the versatility of the Rockets' offense is what I think is going to lead them through this series. As we mentioned before in the previous time we did the clip, phenomenal performances all around from the Rockets, not just from James Harden, but which were able to kind of, I don't think he's under any sort of pressure or tension, but when you're a star player and you see your fellow teammates stepping up, draining shots, playing well, and enjoying that environment, I feel like it almost just gives James Harden the floor to just go and do what he does best. Yes. And I feel like at the moment, as you mentioned there, the OKC relies so heavily on Russell Westbrook, is it's understandable. There's a reason why he's an MVP candidate as it is, which, by the way, regular season MVP. Regular season MVP.
Thank you. Yeah.
This doesn't count.
It's regular season.
But regardless, I just think that their depth and their ability to try and maintain a certain level when Russell Westbrook can't continue to do it as frequently as he has been doing, that's where their game starts to drop. And the Rockets, to be fair to them, take advantage of it completely.
They're simply a better, they have the best run offense aside from the Warriors when they're on in the NBA. There's nobody even close, I think, to those 2 teams. And don't get me wrong, the Spurs have their 24-second basketball that works to a T and get the easy layup. But the Rockets score a ton of points, so much so that they've actually scored 118, 115, 103, and 113 for playoff basketball. That's a lot of points, man. They're putting up more so than almost every other team aside from the Warriors. I take that back. The Cavs and the Pacers don't play defense anymore, so when we get to the East, we'll talk about that. But I don't know why they weren't fouling with 12.5 seconds left in that game. It made no sense. It was a really crucial coaching error by Billy Donovan not to be screaming for them to foul. It looked like miscommunication altogether. It looked like half the players were told to do one thing and the assistant coach told the other half of the players to do another thing. So it was very surprising. They actually could have had a shot at getting maybe to overtime, but you got to put this one to bed. The Rockets are the better team here.
Yeah.
They're the better team top to bottom. And it's rare. Like, here's what I can say, right? If you were to take the Cavs in the Pacers series, Paul George is still on the floor, probably the third best player amongst everybody in the court. If you go LeBron, then probably Kyrie, and then it's probably Paul George. After Westbrook, and you can make obviously the very strong argument that Harden's better than Westbrook, every single player almost to the 8th reserve spot is better than the Thunder's starting 5 aside from Westbrook. I mean, Capella's had a better season overall and fits in better with their offense than Steven Adams does. Patrick Beverley has outplayed Victor Oladipo throughout this whole series and is barking a lot, and I like it. Eric Gordon there has been phenomenal at times, and it's just the Rockets are the better team and are going to be a dangerous team for anybody to face. They've gotten to the West Finals before with a worse team than they have now.
Well, how many times do when we talk about the Warriors in the past and how these kind of silent assassins like Iguodala and Livingston able to throw up amazing numbers, but often overshadowed by the bigger numbers of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
Same thing can be said here. It's like James Harden often throwing up the big numbers. Nene. Last night, career high in playoff. He got 26 points.
Forgot.
And he was just bullying people all over the place. Bullying Steven Adams. He's a big man, as we know. Doesn't take nicely getting bullied, especially when it involves kicks to the junk. And then you mentioned as well, like Beverley has been barking, and he's not as happy as well because he got fined $25,000 for barking at a fan. So that's obviously going to put, and Lou Williams responded saying he got fined. That's news to us. So they're kind of using it as incentive to push forward. And Gordon and Williams combined for what, 38 points between each other. So they're not just relying on James Harden to send them through the roof, because you know James Harden's got it in him to do that. But it's just these other players that are often taking a seat behind their superstar MVP are just stepping up when they need them. And that's what, it's more of a confidence thing as well. When Iguodala would drop those points or play out of his mind, you could see how much it affected those around him and would help them to go and surpass.
A lot of the time, these longer series come down to how good is your bench? How much, I mean, again, that's why I love when people always say, they always want to make it, and look, the media does this all the time with Westbrook. It's even ESPN went as far to say, Westbrook's season almost over. Westbrook going into game 5. It's the Thunder, guys. It's the Thunder. I understand why you're doing it, understand search engine optimization. It's the Thunder. Yeah. It's not just it's Westbrook's team, but it's the Thunder. Because you don't say Jimmy Butler. You actually, a lot of the time, you don't even say LeBron, you say the Cavs. It's a little bit frustrating. The Clippers and the Jazz. The Clippers are going to win this series in 7 games in the most very Clippers way possible. But Doc Rivers in game 1 proved that he's a bad coach, and in game 4 he proved that he is an even worse coach than I thought he was. And a lot of people wanted to go back to the 2008, 2009 Celtics and those runs and 3 Hall of Famers. He wasn't a good coach back then. I disagree. I think he actually did enough with that team, and you're managing egos at that point to lead them to a championship. He can't get this team to the West Finals, and he won't be doing it this year either, because they're going to get absolutely crushed by whoever they face in the second round. I mean the Warriors. Why would I even say whoever they face in the second? I don't think the Warriors are blowing a 3-0 lead, but it would be very much like the Warriors to blow a 3-something lead. Harsh, I know. Joe Johnson deserves a lot of credit. First of all, he's going to go to the Hall of Fame because he's got 20,000 career points. And I was talking with Dan before the show. I just don't know what Clippers lineup you can put out there with 5 minutes left that can close. This has been a problem for years on end. They're up 7 points with about 11 minutes left in that game. They're up 5 points with 7 minutes and 7 seconds left in that game. And that's when my head immediately goes, well, let's see what's going to happen with about 4 minutes left. Joe Johnson scored 11 points in the 4th quarter and assisted to, of all people, Joe Ingles. And I'm not trying to be offensive towards Joe Ingles, but it's Joe Ingles. This isn't a guy that should be that open and hitting threes in such clutch situations. He's not the known guy on the Jazz. Gordon Hayward had food poisoning, so their #1 scorer was out, and they got Rudy Gobert back, who, in other words, played a perfect 25 minutes. Yeah. He was 6 of 6, he had 15 points, he had 13 rebounds and 2 blocks. And that's gonna be a problem for the Clippers going down the stretch anyway. These two teams though, nothing ever can go right. Gordon Hayward, food poisoning, out. Blake Griffin, giant softie, broken toe, out. I get it, it might be tough to play with a broken big toe, but come on, man. Every single playoffs, you're out. I'm actually terrified that in game 5, Chris Paul is gonna go down.
Well, even just with that, it's like Doc Rivers came out in the interview, he never even knew that Blake Griffin was going out. He went to try and call his next play in the huddle, and he literally said he was missing a guy. And then next minute they're like, oh yeah,
where's Blake?
They're like, how can it not be Blake's fault if Blake's not here? So then then he get told, he was like, Blake Griffin, he said his actual quote was, I was looking for Blake and I didn't know Blake had left the floor. That's when they told me he was going back to possibly get an x-ray. I didn't know that. Or on what? Like, so one of your star players just wanders off to get an x-ray, no one's gonna tell the head coach. So small thing, but it kind of represents the disconnect, the conversation, the communication between these players and their coach. It's baffling to me that it's still a conversation as to, can this team get to this point? Like it's no longer. It's just
laughable. It really is laughable when people try to say you can't count out the Clippers as making a run. You can, because they've proved nothing. They've proved nothing at this point. Their best chance ever was when they had the 3-1 lead over the Rockets. That was their only shot. That was their window, and they blew that, and now it's done. So now at this point, even if it goes 6 games, even if they return to LA, win game 5, which I'm assuming that they will, I would expect them to, and then possibly close it out in Utah, but I think it'll be more of a Clippers thing to come back to LA and win in game 7. You gotta replace Joe Johnson in the next round with presumably Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And Kevin Durant is going to eat Mbah a Moute or JJ Redick alive. They will be soulless after that series. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be too harsh here, but at this point, the best thing that could happen to the Clippers is to get rid of Blake, find something you can get in return from him, and just run the CP3 and DeAndre offense. JJ Redick's also shooting his way out of a contract. Yeah. And as Dan mentioned, you replace Blake Griffin's 42 absurd minutes with JJ Redick playing 42 absurd minutes? Guys, play Mo Spates 42 minutes. I just like him the most. Take that back. I like Jamal Crawford the most. All right, really quick to wrap this up. The Warriors ripped off a 16-point run in 4 minutes. That was just vintage Warriors.
How devastating that team can be.
I mean, the Blazers really looked like they were going to get their win.
Yeah.
And ripped the heart and souls out of that entire arena.
Out of Rip City.
Out of Rip City. Still love CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard. Interestingly, though, Steve Kerr's back is not in any shape or form good. He's going to be out for an extended period of time.
Yeah, he's going to have limited minutes.
And I feel Steve Kerr's going to he's only going to get 5 minutes a game. I just feel bad for the man. Back pain sucks. We talked about this.
He missed out
for 40 games
last year, and Luke Walton had to step in.
So now I'm wondering, is Mike Brown, I think, is taking over. Who is he going to coach next year?
Yeah, he's moving over to the Lakers.
He's going to go to the Lakers too?
He's going to move. To kind of tie this in with, I imagine we're going to mention the Cavs as well.
We're going to do, we'll do East in a different clip.
All right, okay, well.
So don't even think about it.
But I was going to say, okay, the Warriors and then another team that happens to be in the East, who are not bad, just demonstrate in like there's periods of like 5 to 6 minutes in these games where they just put their foot on the accelerator and just bombard past teams. Like I'll talk about it in the clip, but there was a point in that game when the Pacers were playing well, looked as if they were getting back, and then LeBron James, just LeBron James. And I'm like, that must just be soul destroying to get yourself back to that point and then witness that against this man.
Look, in the 90s, Michael Jordan used to rip the hearts out of so many teams. I mean, he owned the Pacers and he owned the Knicks, and it was every single year, and you just felt that there was no hope. And there was none. He closed the window on you. And regardless what fan you were, if you were a fan of the Hawks during that time, if you were a fan of the Magic during that time, you were getting beat every single time by Michael. And it sucked. But you have to appreciate it. Lastly, Dave Fizdale is the greatest at the press conference. The only thing I want to add to close you out is you got to keep it real sometimes. And Dave Fizdale actually said, media, I'm taking open suggestions on how to stop Kawhi Leonard. Which is just awesome. They tied the series though. It's 2-2. Just good for Grizzlies basketball, man. I appreciate that. I respect that. Always been a fan of Mike Conley. And I think Fizdale, just, 3, as Chauncey Billups mentioned in the postgame show, 3 D-leaguers are now playing in the playoffs.
Wow.
One of which J. Michael Green that's good coaching. That's very, very good coaching.
Good eye.
And a good eye. So good for, take that for data, Dave Fizdale.
Honestly, I'm taking suggestions on how to guard Kawhi Leonard because I've tried everything. And the guy is just, he's tough. Man, is he a superstar.